Welcome everyone. Welcome to Charging Ahead, where we dig into technologies, ideas, and leaders transforming the future of mobility. Today, we are talking about wild frontier of the last mile delivery and a startup that's betting big on a smarter and a more sustainable solution. I am really excited to welcome Raimonds Jurgelis, co-founder and CEO of Bruntor. Bruntor is a Latvian startup rethinking the entire delivery vehicle scheme from the ground up. It's Bruntor builds electric delivery scooters that are designed specifically for last mile logistics. So they are very stable, they are cargo ready, and they are emission free, which is really cool. And in this conversation, we'll talk more about what's broken in urban delivery right now, what the future of microfleets could look like, and why form factor is the next big thing in mobility. So, Raimonds, welcome to Charging Ahead. Thank you for.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Nice to be here. Thank you for the invite, and let's dive in.
Yeah, so let's rewind just a bit. So, Bruntor's origin story is pretty unique. So, you started off with an off-road electric skateboard in 2021. It was called
Yeah,
Bruntor Fun, right?
yeah. That was actually it was called like Rhino board back then. The idea behind was it was kind of early post-COVID times, and the idea did born during the COVID when everything was closed and you could not go to hills for snowboarding. So I had an idea. Okay, let's make a skateboard, but which is capable to go off-road, like real off-road, and which is powerful enough also to go up in the hills and so on. So at the beginning, I wanted to buy something, but I didn't find anything which I liked. So I started to build my own thing. And it was only as a pleasure thing for me, as a hobby. So I made the first one, and then I thought, okay, it's so cool. Actually, I should invite my friends to try it out. They came, and then we thought, okay, let's make another, like a couple of them. And then came like some let's say like chain of fortunate events where we got like with the idea I won like the first business cup, my first competition in with business ideas at all, my first time pitching, and I won it. I got like first 10K, and I've invested everything in that. Directly afterwards there came like the first investor. I wanted to help scale this one, and everything was cool. But the problem was like we were in Latvia, so a very small market. Just to validate the idea, the people were kind of scared of the vehicle because you can imagine it in the size of a little bit larger than a children quad bike. The wheelbase was like huge and it looked dangerous, but actually it was way more stable than the regular electric skateboards, since you were strapped to the board in a way that you could also, if you fall, it unstraps yourself, and you are falling just, and everything is fine, so you don't injure yourself. But I was struggling to find the market for the product actually. So and then somehow automatically came also this idea with cargo scooter. Originally, it came actually from the situation of my own. I was going with a skateboard to pick up some parcels in the local shop, and my wife called me and she said, "Oh, bring something from the shop." I don't remember what, but I couldn't because my hands were full. One hand with the parcel, the other was the remote control of the board. So I came home, I took the car and went back, and then I thought, okay, it's really wrong. It's really wrong how the things I'm doing. And I have also like two-wheel scooter back then. I still have it, but I don't drive it anymore. Um, and then I thought, okay, I have the vehicles there, like variety of them, and I'm taking the biggest one just to get to the shop to buy me some groceries. So,
Yeah.
and afterwards there came this hackathon, actually, where I had a real idea to a real chance to validate the idea with the mentors, with professionals from the sector. It was organized by Riga City Council, AIT Urban Mobility, and it was a good opportunity for me to hear just words about the idea. We made the first prototype during those 48 hours based on the skateboard. We welded like handlebar with imitating wheel. We used cat transport box, which I used to transport my cat to the vet. I used it as a cargo compartment, just painted it black. And the idea behind was, or still like in the future, that you don't have like this only scooter thing, but actually it's like a modular drone combination of, if you know the Starship, the small robots which are delivering parcels and everything else, like small items, and just combine that one with a scooter. So theoretically you have a mobility device which you can use on your own, and it comes to your place. You don't have to go on the street and search which one is free. You just call one as a taxi and it comes to you. And in the same time, you get the opportunity to actually use the vehicle as a drone to send items around the city. So you have two in one, basically, the small robot which drives around and the mobility device itself. And the idea actually, yeah, brought us again like the first victory with this idea. It was not a huge amount of money back then. But anyways, again, all money was back in the idea. Okay, let's make a proper one. But then we started to go in a smarter way, as we did with the board. I learned my lessons there. So we started with very low cost prototype. Actually, the first prototype was, we spent extra 15 euros. We had already the boards, and I spent extra 15 euros to build working prototypes. So just imagine, it was like potato box on wheels. Actually, I think it might be on our Instagram or in our webpage. It could be there, the picture from the first one. When I think back, it looks very, very bad. But anyways, it did brought us the very first customer. Because the urgency and the need of small cargo transporting vehicles was there. And even with the vehicle like that, we gained the first customer, which was Latvian Post.
I wanted to ask you about the Latvian Post collaboration. So that was the, let's say, the first pilot program you had with Bruntor with Latvian Post.
Yeah.
As you said, there was a need, there was urgency to carry a large amounts of goods, in this case postal packages, and you have a ton of stops. You need to stop every few seconds, minutes.
Yeah.
And it's not practical doing it with a car, with a bike. So I just ask you, how did this Latvia Post pilot program help you validate the product and maybe shape the direction heading forward?
It's very complicated, I would say, in this perspective, because we are still working with Latvian Post, but since it's governmental, huge institution, yeah, they are very, very slow. Where the startup is like today and tomorrow, it's 2 different days already. And for the Latvian Post or for the large institutional companies, it takes ages until they decide something. So we were lucky to get this very first pilot with them, and only afterwards we started to build a real working prototype with functionalities. And as you mentioned, like those short stop deliveries in between, like those deliveries, there are sometimes only 20 meters. And actually, during this testing phase, I was trying to understand more the detail of postman job. I thought it's easy. It's not. But it was for me as a research to see how to improve the vehicle. I was actually waking up 3 o'clock mornings, going with the postman, looking how they are doing the job. to understand which features or how they actually are doing, what is the workflow, so we can build a vehicle which is designed around the work and not the other way around. Which basically today, when I think back, I think it was the best choice which I made back then, to make to try to make the best tool possible for Latvian Post. Like theoretically we are building vehicles, but actually what we are building, those are tools on wheels. So we don't have like the same vehicle for different customers. The different customer means different needs, different specifications. So there is like customization everywhere there. And in a market validation, it didn't bring us a lot, but it gave us the signal, okay, there is a need, there is potential, because we could calculate already or gather the data, what are the improvements before they were walking, because it was the quickest. And then we got the data from them that it is like 4 times quicker. Obviously you are not anymore walking. It's huge. I thought actually we could make, okay, 25% quicker and it should be fine. But when I said like it's 4 times quicker, it makes also totally sense, because you have from letterbox to letterbox, sometimes it's 20 meters, but sometimes it's 100 meters or a little bit more. So we are speeding up only these traveling times. And since we don't have to park the vehicle in super special position like it is with cargo bikes or bicycles, then you don't lose any time. You are just coming to the place, stepping off, doing your thing, stepping on, and you're ready to go, and you are actually going. And that's the biggest advantage of this kind of stand-up driving solution, that you are super agile at the stop.
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. The next thing, next talking point would be something like cargo capacity versus agility. How does that work together? So, as you mentioned, it's 4 times quicker than using a bike. I mean, you usually postmen use bikes or
Yeah.
sometimes small scooters, but mainly bikes. So it's inconvenient to, hop on a bike, go 20 meters, hop off, drop something, then hop on, and so on. So this is just stepping off, stepping on. But in city
Actually,
environments, how does how do you balance cargo capacity with agility? How does the cargo capacity impact the agility in this case?
in our case, the cargo capacity we can offer in a small vehicle, it's like, I don't even know if it is more than 10 times larger than on a regular bicycle, but we are still in the same sized vehicle.
Yeah.
Like the regular bicycle, it's not too long, it's not too wide, but we are taking actually the same footprint. If you draw a box around the bicycle, what it actually takes away from the street when it's moving. So in the same size as a regular bike, we are able to carry something about 400 and something liters, or almost 500 liters, which is huge amount for, like when we delivered first time the vehicles to Latvian Post, they were like, okay, now we are taking the whole post with one time. But their specifics is, when we're talking this postal sector, is they have specific routes how they are doing their job. So they don't actually need that much space, which we can offer. But since it's there, then we had to make sure that it can be used wisely. So they have now the latest version has like double a volume, which they usually had. But one compartment is made more for the quick access, so you can access actually from your standing position already. You don't have to walk all the way around. You just grab the handlebar, you open the drawer, you get your letter, and you are good to go.
So
And
that's
then from the
really
side,
convenient.
yeah, and from the sides, then they have like storage for parcels or for the items they don't need like right away.
Awesome.
But
I mean,
Yeah.
this is really something to have a cargo delivery scooter the size of a bike, and it's agile, it's fast, it's quick, it's easy to access, it's easy to use. I mean, this all sounds great, and no matter how great it sounds, there are always some misconceptions people have about scooters in delivery use. So, what are some common misconceptions you hear about scooters in delivery use in the last mile delivery context?
Um, the very first misconception you already, once I say a scooter, oh yeah, this is
Yeah.
dangerous. This
Yeah.
is dangerous, and we cannot use it on the public roads. Like everybody is going to be killed. Um, literally, the way how people perceive the concept itself, it's only because, of course, the shared mobility scooters, which are two-wheelers, if they are not used properly, of course, they can be dangerous. But so is the car, so is the motorcycle, but we still have them. Um, and the second one is that why we need something like this, we have bicycles. But there is not only postal service who benefits from this kind of vehicle. We have a variety of use cases where you just need those frequent stops, and the latest, and I think it is going to be one of the biggest like branches which we are operating in. It is like communal days, taking care of the streets of the parks. They literally have the option to use wheelbarrow, and then the next option is already the electrical car, which is like huge, and there is no something in between, and you
Yeah.
cannot imagine a cargo bike there. Like, it doesn't fit the picture at all. The same is for hospitals, internal logistic, how it's made. It Cargo bike doesn't fit in the picture,
Yeah.
and but you cannot use van in the hospital inside.
Exactly.
But we have like collaborations where they're using the vehicles like not only in the building but also outside, and combining it to make the most efficiency out possible. So, um, and the struggle is actually to show people what Bruntor is capable of, because there is like this perception. First is dangerous. The second is it cannot be more efficient than bicycle because it's very quick.
Yeah, and
But we made.
we dismantle both of these misconceptions. It
I
can,
mean, I made several tests where I was like, okay, if that is a true, it might be true. Like in the early days, it might be true that cargo bike is like way quicker than we are, because it can go faster than 20 kilometers per hour. Because that's the speed we are limiting the vehicle to. But cargo bike is not limited to the maximum speed. Electrical motor assistance 25, and then you can still pedal it and be quicker.
yeah.
So what we did, we organized a small challenge. We rented a professional rider with a cargo bike who is doing the daily deliveries in Riga. We rented a van with driver who is doing deliveries. And we were saying, okay, we are going to make a challenge. 50 addresses we have to deliver each, the same addresses, and the route was made in the way that no one has like clear advantage. There were in between the stops 50 meters, 200 meters, and also 2 kilometers, from one point to another point, where you had actually the van would have like the greatest advantage. And the interesting thing was when we came to the yeah, when we delivered everything and we came back to the point, the average speed of the van was something about 16 kilometers per hour. Average speed of Bruntor was something like 18, and cargo bike, it was the quickest one. It had the average speed of 23, 24. I don't remember exactly, but Bruntor was the first one at the finish line, just because we don't lose that much time by stopping and starting the vehicle as a cargo bike.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there is like this. Once you have to stop ofters very often, then the bicycle is unfortunately not the best option at the moment. It was like 2 or 3 years ago because there were no cargo scooters like available. But when we compare like one to one, they have their own good things where they are great at. This is larger distances when you go from point one to point two, and then again like larger areas when you cover like kilometer in between. And we will be slower definitely, and I totally know it, and it's fine. We are just different tool in the box.
Exactly, exactly. So there's room for both cargo bikes and Bruntor on
Sure, definitely, definitely.
I'd like to ask you something. We discussed this before we started recording this. Hardware versus software. So usually, scooter startups focus on software, but you are deep in the hardware game. So
Yeah.
what's hard about being a hardware mobility startup? It's pretty interesting. Yeah.
um, that there is like last time I was on uh, Techtuality, it's like Latvian startup expo, let's say, where investors and startups come together, and someone asked me also like the same question, like what's the difference first of all, and I was like, okay, it's really obvious, and I hope nobody will get upset. Nobody will get upset, but like software guys, it's like chatting with the girl, and hardware guys, they are actually touching her. That like this clearly is the difference. We both are doing basically the same thing. We are trying to build a company based on some kind of product. So the difference is just in the product itself. Of course, it has its own challenges like hardware. It's very it's harder to get investment. It's harder to scale. It's harder to scale and grow in. You have like challenges every day.
Do you see
But
software maybe becoming a part of your product stack, like something like fleet management
sure,
or
sure.
diagnostics, something in the near future, maybe like something like
I
that?
believe that we will be at one point like nowadays there's no hardware without software component.
Yeah,
Even like washing machine or the
yeah, yeah,
microwave,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's software there. Of course, it's maybe not that kind of platform thing or marketplace thing, but we still have to do it. And like it will become part of our company. We are just going from the perspective what is needed today, and even with this limited kind of vehicle, not even thinking about autonomous driving at this point.
Yeah,
Like
definitely. Yeah,
it is on the roadmap there, but today or tomorrow we cannot use it on the streets. But we need some kind of solution for the next 5 years, for next 10 years. But like of course it's kind of short term when we see as a company, but we have to fill that gap first, and then we can think like, okay, once that one is done, then we move forward to more autonomous or whatever the vehicles, drones and stuff. But there will be like a lot of manual work still there. So
got it, got it. Yeah, I mean, I
but but
understand
but but
the picture.
but software has his own challenges. I don't have experience with software. I like building stuff. I like actually like sitting at the computer like 3 months trying to make like the drawings right, and then you build the thing, and you can actually like, oh wow, yeah,
It's tangible.
this
You
is
can
like, oh
touch it. You can see.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
The success feeling, and it's not I cannot even describe like the feeling when you have worked like for a longer period of time for the new version, and then it's out and it's assembled and you ride it for the first time. Yeah, it's like
and it works
awesome
great.
feeling. It's sometimes that's the challenge with hardware. There is stuff which can break, and it will, and it's just a matter of time.
Yeah,
So
you're just leading me to my next question. I had, how do you approach durability and maintenance and fleet longevity ultimately?
yeah, that's I'm glad actually you asked me this one about durability, because actually we have a guy um, not full time, but his job is to break the vehicle. so but in the way that not like doing like unusual stuff. He has to drive and just conquer the city, let's say. There are a lot of obstacles. There are pavements, sideway curbs, potholes on the roads, no roads, and his task is to drive around. Sometimes I'm sending him to go like really hardcore. Then he goes to bicycle trails and he jumps the jumps with it. so
Okay. Okay.
so I'm trying to make a G wagon of the scooters. If we can make it that, put it that way, like like if you have this thing, the thing has to work. It like hardware breakage should not happen. So, of course, there will be some parts which, with the time, will have to be replaced definitely. But I mean, there should not be something breaking just because you were too quick. Like because we have like the vehicle has independent suspension just as a car. There are some moving parts, but they have to be robust enough to withstand like even overloading and driving like crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the goal.
yeah. So you're really going hardcore with the testing stuff. So
That's the only way.
I
That's the
like.
only way how we can make it like rigid enough, and better. I will break it like here than my customer somewhere
Exactly,
like far away.
exactly. Uh, just to put out my thoughts. Cities are really packed with all kinds of cargo bikes, e-vans, delivery vehicles. You already told us what are the differences between a cargo bike and your Bruntor vehicle, but who are you really competing against here? So yeah, I see you've integrated with hospitals, with zoos, with posts. So it's you're
It
really
it really
covering
it
a lot of institutions, a lot of different institutions. So first, I'd like to
actually
ask you, who do you compete against? And secondly, how do you convince these institutions to switch from maybe van or a bike to a cargo scooter?
it really depends on the customer type. If we are speaking about postal services, we are not actually competing with the vans there, because a van will be a part of the delivery no matter what. It's just about this very last mile, where you have an option. If it's lower density delivery zone, you could use cargo bikes. It's fine. But in very high density delivery zone, most probably people are using push trolleys or they are walking with the bags or whatever.
Yeah,
So we are making a tool which can significantly improve these last ones, the ones who is walking at the moment, because it's the quickest way they know, and also take part away from the cargo bike, so you can combine those routes. You know, that's for these ones. For let's say farmers, we are alternative to the quad bike because we are 4x4 capable. So that means you can go and pull a hanger behind and still carry some items.
yeah,
For gardeners, sometimes we are just as a super advanced wheelbarrow. Like it's very different from use case to use case, but most probably what combines everything is that you have to stop frequently.
yeah,
And logistics, as we know, or the first thing which we think about logistics is how my parcel gets to my home. But actually, logistics is like everything. We move stuff around, and that's like the biggest challenge, like how we can make sure that everything happens in the city. So it doesn't have like a straight answer. We are competing against bicycles. No, we are not. We are just giving an extra tool to make things easier and more convenient.
awesome. So this is a part of your go-to-market strategy, as I see, and This leads me to the next section I'd like to talk about. This is the business model and scaling. So, are you selling? Are you leasing? Or is there a hybrid model with your clients?
Um, we just actually launched first series market approach because last 2 years we did spend actually in development, trying to make it rigid enough because it's a very kind of simple product, but it's kind of complex in the same way since you have to have like this feeling right of the user, you know. And as we speak, like our average user is like lady in 50s with no driving license, no experience, so it was kind of hard to make sure that she feels right. Not everyone is going to be Bruntor rider, um so now when once we have started the sales, our approach is again based on what I know already. Like our product is new experience product, so I cannot tell you, wow, it is great. You have to feel it. And then we offer like tests, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 3 weeks is like the longest one, but 2 weeks is fine. That's the most booked test period. So people can have a time to understand the vehicle. They can actually, in this time already, get used to the vehicle, and then we take it back. What happens then? They start to feel the pain because before they didn't actually see it that way. You know, and suddenly it's super convenient, super easy. You cruise around, and from the just regular caretaker, you are a superstar in the city on the wheels. So once it's back, like you think, okay, it's something wrong. I wanted to like to use it again, you know. And of course that there's like people who say, okay, this is not for me. It's fine. Also, this is like part of the journey where you cannot be universal for everyone. It's not my goal. It's not the company's goal to be like for great for everyone, or good for everyone. We want to be great for some of the customers, and this is the biggest thing, I think. Like why zoo are is interested in something like this, why park maintenance company is interesting, just because the tool makes the job easier. And once they have tested it, they see, okay, now let's keep on going and let's rent it. So that's a little bit back to the question. So they have option to buy the vehicle, but again, it's startup, it's hardware, everyone is cautious. So we also offer it to rent in short or long term. If it's short term, then that is only the standardized version available. If it's long term rental, then we speak already about the detail of the cargo compartment. So it fits perfectly which tools you are going to carry, how long, how far, what is the volume you need, you know, like so small details which makes the job easier.
Yeah, so
Of
you
course,
when you have a larger customer who's going to be here with you for a longer time, you
yeah.
customize the vehicle.
I mean, our customers, most of the customers are larger organizations, um, which want to yeah, improve the comfort of their employees. Like this is huge again, like coming from Europe, that we have to make sure that everybody is feeling right, they are not stressed, and so on and so on, you know. And then lately also we have this very from the super small SMEs, hey, can I make this one into the shop or in a mobile cafe, you know. So that there is another branch which is just starting to grow, where we are exploring the first steps into this field and trying to make the first vehicle which is actually like mobile cafe. And
Just to ask you, uh, since you're clearly on your way to expanding Bruntor, cities want greener logistics and they want fewer vehicles on the sidewalk. What's your city pitch? So it's I think it's all about regulations here, but what's your city pitch? I mean, you need to approach every city differently, of course, but
yeah,
how do you do it?
Basically, first of all, it's the general legislation in the countries. In the Europe, we have European-wide standard for small electric vehicles, light electric vehicle PLEV. And then again, when we are in the specific countries, sometimes this regulation is not there. We did speak with French Post 3 years ago. We were not able to start our pilot, even if they were interested in, just because there were no regulation for such kind of vehicle, and we couldn't use it on the streets legally. And that means only that the market theoretically is kind of keen to test and use the vehicles, but because of legislation, we fall back sometimes. And we are approaching it in the way that we are moving to the countries first where the legislation is already there, and you can start using it. Bruntor is have to be seen also not as a mass product for everyone. This is not going to be like Bolt or the companies sharing the vehicles on the street. It might be used for shared mobility, but not in that scale. We can see there is only like 10% of all bicycles are cargo bikes. Like we can also straight compare it with scooter amount and how many cargo scooters would be needed. Theoretically, but there's enough countries where we can start, and it is large enough for us in this phase where we are at now. But funny wise, Latvia is not one of those countries. We are actually having a challenge here where I'm actively trying to work with authorities, with help with city council. We are actually speaking with ministers of transportation and so on to try to explain them what is needed, because there is not only Bruntor, for example, affected by this regulation, which is PLEV. Those are a lot of varieties of different vehicles, and most interesting is actually senior scooters which go above 6 kilometers per hour. There is no legislation here. So that's my biggest pitch. Like I'm showing that the pain is not only mine, that the pain is actually like different kind of vehicles which are today also on the street, but they don't have any legal ground for it. It's kind of gray zone, I would say. But
this is. I mean, we've talked to during our interviews. We've talked to several people who would say the same thing. Too many regulations here in Europe are halting the innovation and development. So we have this super smart people who are really bold and who have will to succeed and to execute. But countries have no legislations, they have too strict regulations, and it's just halting our development, halting our innovation. And yeah, I mean, I understand that the French Post collaboration you mentioned earlier would be huge.
It would be huge for us in like very early days,
But yeah, there's always but somehow in the Europe.
I mean,
regulations.
It is okay, and that also is maybe the difference between software and the hardware. We have to make sure that we have the certification. There are quite a lot of challenges, but the good thing about the hardware, which I think is that actually, if you look around in your room, someone have created those items. And without computer, without a mouse, or without a mobile phone, we would not be able to do this interview even,
Exactly.
So we need the hardware. And if we go and say, okay, as a city is now trying to eliminate cars in the city centers, of course, it's a very good idea to do it. But please, let's make sure that we can have alternatives for it.
Exactly.
You cannot say, okay, we don't want to see cars anymore in the city. Fine, how we are going to transport items, how I'm going to get my groceries home
Yeah.
or kids to the school, whatever. Like we have to make sure we have the infrastructure there. We have to make sure that there's legislation there, when we come back to the mobility area. So it is very interesting what is happening like with the first cities who have closed city centers for car access. What challenges do they have? And it's exactly like how to get like things in and out.
Yeah, last
and
mile.
and that
Yeah, last.
yeah, yeah. And that's why I think we are in a very good position with the Bruntor at the moment, because we have solution already which is there to be just uh, um, yeah, scaled a little bit, and then we are available on the market like for a larger variety of people and in more countries than we actually at the moment are. And 2 years later, I think there will be the legislation in most of the European countries already like positive for us, because in almost every country we have these mission cities, which are kind of experimental, but we know this is not going to stop there.
Yeah.
We are moving toward net zero,
Yeah,
and
so
we have to make sure.
since you're now talking about scaling and expanding Brunter and moving into more cities, more clients, uh, is there a next big milestone you have that you're building towards? Is it something maybe product related, geography related, partnership related? Like, you hit
I would
scale,
say that
what changes?
the next biggest milestone most probably will be the investment. Because without investment,
Yeah,
we are basically kind of bootstrapped company. We are trying to live with what we have and moving forward. And just imagine like this totally different game for a software company also. And uh, if you want to make something, if you want to build something, you have to have money for it first. So you cannot just play around with some features because it costs you, every moment costs you something. But now for the scaling, I think by the middle of this year, we will start fundraising because we want to have some sales numbers ready. Like, so we have a clear market validation. So we have taken out some risks of the market, and this will going to be like the next biggest thing. And then afterwards, it's the matter of sales team then.
yeah. So
Um,
fundraising, then sales and expansion. But just to ask, are there any plans to expand maybe into new vehicle types, into maybe new payload categories, or you're
um,
sticking to
we
working right now?
we are at the moment we have like a version which is very very good. I would say it's like kind of premium product. So we are going to make a product which is like entry level with no suspension. Of course, it's totally different vehicle feeling when you ride it, but we will make it because there are some sectors which doesn't need actually like the drivetrain as we have, and it just adds a little bit of the costs. So we can have like cheaper version there. This is one thing where we are going to go. Definitely, the other thing maybe would be two-wheeler, because again, it comes back a little bit to play around the legislations
Yeah,
for those countries where four wheels are not allowed. Funny wise, it's regulated on the wheel count and not the purpose or the size of the vehicle.
kind of fun,
So
kind of fun.
yeah, it's even like, yeah, I don't understand actually why the wheel count matters that much.
Yeah, I mean,
But it is. So
yeah,
so that
especially
that would be like the second.
four wheels. I mean, you have much greater stability and balance than on two wheels.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
make much sense.
The one thing which I definitely see, which we are not going to do, we are not going to build large vehicles.
Yeah,
There are like plenty of them out there. We have like golf cars already like for centuries almost.
Exactly.
So we don't need to go in tap into that market, but we want to stay small, relatively small, and agile. That's the advantage which we have.
Now, just to sum all this up, so you build a physical product in one of the most competitive categories in mobility. What have you learned the hard way? What's some piece of advice that you will give to someone who's building a hardware mobility startup today?
Mm, the very first thing is again related to investments. Investors run from hardware startups and not lining up. But it depends, of course. That most probably, if there is someone listening, they say, "No, I know well, at least 10 people. Let me know." But if seriously, then the hard lesson I think is that we have to make sure that the product is ready and done properly. Everything is secured in places because every small challenge, when we ship it somewhere abroad, and if we have not, let's say, done our job properly, we have to go fix it, and that costs money or the customer, So that's actually like what happened to us in early days in the workshop. We did forgot to screw one screw, and then in Sweden the customer was testing, and they had an accident, which already is bad. Like the guy was driving with one hand looking in the phone and made an accident, but our fault was that that screw was not secured, and all the electronics did slide and pulled out the power cable. So we had to go fix the cable, and it cost for the company like 2,000 euros just to plug the cable in.
That's
So that's the lesson I learned. Like, hey, we can ship it, but make sure everything is done. So we had invented actually like kind of quality control system how we are checking it, so nothing can happen like this again. Uh, but always it's
okay. So now we know you won't forget to screw any screws. So
no.
yeah,
I
sure.
mean, the thing is, like with the hardware, also like takeaways, just play around,
Yeah.
and you will see.
Another thing to ask, what's one thing you underestimated going in? Something you thought, okay, this is a quick in and out operation, but it took some time.
Um, Sales, I thought it will be much quicker. We will be much quicker in development, and it will be much easier to speak with customers. But the lessons we learned out there, it was like, yeah, we have to explain, we have to give opportunity to test, and then it happens. But the way there, it took a while. We are now a third year working on Bruntor. We have like fifth iteration of the vehicle, which of course we could start selling very very early. We did start to speak with customers very early. We did, yes, but we were not able to sell them the product yet.
Yeah, so
So
throughout the years you refine
yeah,
your sales process like you told at the
exactly. Like
beginning, like you have a 2 3 week test rides, and after test rides
yeah,
something actually happens. So
yeah. I mean, um that was like, which I thought, okay, it's going to be easier because I have like my background is marketing and business development, so should be fine, it should be easy. Why not? Because we don't have like a lot of competitors, so it's kind of easy. But then again, we have this not first mover but first mover problems. You have to make sure your client understands what you're selling, so and that is the challenge. That is the challenge.
got it. I mean, sales always seems like an afterthought, but it's the most important thing actually here.
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't make any sense to build anything else.
To wrap
But
this up,
luckily we had like these collaborations between.
to, just to wrap this up, I have a few quick fire questions, like one-liners I'd like to ask you. Uh, in 5 years, what do you want people to say when you hear Bruntor? What do you want people to say to think about your brand? Something,
When they hear Bruntor, they don't
yeah,
have to think
something
about my
maybe the
brand.
first image that
They
pops into the mind.
yeah, they have to think and imagine the vehicle category.
Okay, so
you,
you
you
build,
know how it is like with the catcher, with the pressure washers. Everyone calls them catcher.
yeah.
So
No,
even if it's not produced by them,
this
so
is
that's the goal of that Bruntor is the same. Like it's a category. It's not the vehicle. It's
yeah.
not the
I
brand.
mean, this is really exciting. So you're not building a product, you're building a category of vehicles. I mean,
Yeah.
this is. I've talked internally with a ton of people in the company about Brunter, so we've all agreed that we've never seen something like this, and it's really cool, and it looks cool, and it works cool. So I see where you're getting at. It's totally new category. Another quick fire. So what's one feature you're dying to add? Something you'd like to see, but maybe won't happen in the next 2, 3, 6, 12 months, but you really want to have it.
One feature
Yeah.
and a feature, I would say then it should be like follow me function.
Okay. Okay.
Because then it becomes like a beast, like in these very close distances. Like that would be like but it's like doable actually. It's doable. It's coming, but not in the next 6 months.
Yeah, definitely. It sounds like it takes a bit more time to develop.
A
And
little bit, a little bit.
in the next 3 years, the last quick fire. In the last 3 years, what do you deem more important to you? Is it the payload? Is it the price point or plug and play integration?
Plug and play integration. Because what we are doing with the next version, actually, it's kind of that direction that we will have one vehicle base,
Yep.
and you will be able to attach different kind of things. So you can have the same vehicle, but you have different use cases. So you can have different attachments, let's say, and suddenly you don't have a cargo box. You have a platform with the platform which can go up and down. So it's just like a Lego then.
Yeah, and that's how you build a category. So you have a platform which is a totally modular vehicle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. And yeah, that's a wrap on today's interview. I think I've exhausted all my questions I have here down. Really
But
huge thanks both to you, Raimonds, and both to the entire Bruntor team for showing us what the delivery scooter built for purpose really looks like. It's a new category, guys. So yeah, please keep a close watch on Bruntor. And as cities demand more cleaner streets, as we resolve all our, how to say it, regulation issues in Europe, and how the logistics speeds up, the vehicle itself becomes the next battleground, we can say. So if you are right, if Bruntor is right, the future of delivery is on four wheels, maybe on two in the future. And it's something definitely uniquely suited for the job. So yeah, we'll be back soon with more innovators turning the wheels of mobility. And until then, stay curious, stay critical, and keep charging ahead. Thank you.
yeah, thank you.